You will be so wildly successful as soon as you stop trying to be successful. Because true success for you is immeasurable. It is unquantifiable. It is intangible. And actually, every attempt we make to quantify or make tangible or measure our success in the form of money or clients or impact or making a specific difference, a certain outcome in the world, is actually the opposite to success. It is the opposite to being of service because it is selfish. It is coming from insecurity when the part of us that feels that we need to quantify and measure our impact, our difference, measure through the amount of money or through the amount of clients or the amount of people that we reach or whatever other metric that we use to measure this intangible effect that we have, is self-centered. It is coming from a place of needing evidence, needing proof, needing some kind of tangible symbol for us to believe that what we're doing is worthwhile and that who we are is worthy as a result of it. And that's why it is the opposite of success to look for a marker, a measure of what that success is in the world, in other people's lives. And the truth about success is that you cannot know. You cannot measure it. You cannot see it, actually. And that's why we live in a very tricky world right now, because in the business world, even in the spiritual circles now, with the hyperconnectivity and the content machine and all of the breakthroughs and transformations that we're promising in all of the videos that we see in the courses and the programs and all these things. And of course, I have my own videos and my own courses. But the difference is that the ego takes hold of this as a way of gaining some kind of self-satisfaction, pride. It starts to outsource its worth, its meaning, its own significance in the form of the measurable outcomes that it can produce. But when you think about true success, true service, true impact, who would we look to for a measure or an indication of great service, great impact, great difference on the planet for humanity? It's debatable. You can't really measure it. We've already kind of explored that it's not measurable. But if we, for the sake of this conversation, looked for an example of someone who's made a big difference, one could argue that Jesus Christ has made the biggest difference. He's arguably the most famous. And I'm not a religious person. I love Christ. I love the story of Christ. I love the essence of what that symbol represents and the truth and the embodiment of love and devotion that it all signifies. But aside from my opinion and aside from the religious context of it, Jesus Christ is arguably the most famous person that has ever existed, has made the biggest impact among anyone that's ever been human. And think about that success. Think about that service that was offered. The price for that service was Christ's life. Jesus gave up his life as his greatest act of service, meaning that not only was he not able to comprehend or perceive the impact of his service, that the talks that he gave, the discourses that he offered, the little bits of advice perhaps or wisdom that he imparted, as fleeting as that was as a way of measuring the impact he was having, ultimately giving up his life was the greatest act of truth, the greatest embodiment and demonstration of devotion, the greatest expression of love that he could have offered. And that has rippled through the hearts of humanity for thousands of years. And we still speak about him. We still speak about his life, his teachings, his impact. And yet, he was not able to quantify it, not able to measure it, not even able to know it with certainty that it was the right choice. And that is the point, is that true success, true service is not something that the mind can comprehend. It is not something that can be measured. It is not something that you can know with certainty is happening. It is something that you make yourself available for. It is something that you allow. It is, in a way, the sacrifice of all personal gain, of all self-centered measurement, any metrics that the ego can grab onto as a point of reference. Because true service is pure love, and pure love is unconditional. And that unconditional love sees everyone as a sovereign being, as an autonomous creator of their own experience. And in that recognition, there's the knowing that every single person has their own guidance, their own perspective, their own truth, their own light, their own way. And how much of our modern world is people giving advice for the way that others should live, for what is right and what is wrong, and what is the best thing to do, and what is success, and what is failure, and what is quantifiable and measurable. And all of this is guaranteed to not be of service because it is self-centered. It is coming from that part of ourself that wants to measure the good that we're doing, the impact that we're making, the amount of people that we're helping. But that is a way to be certain that we are not in alignment with the truth of who we are, with God, with life itself. Because life, God, your true self, is utterly detached from the outcome. It is literally a gift, unconditionally so. It is a sacrifice of who you think you are, and anything that you think you can gain from that act, from that gift, from that teaching, that expression, that offering. And it is to trust deeply, to know in your heart that you have done what is true, what you are inspired to do, what you have been guided to say or offer. And that is where it ends. The rest is not up to you. It never was. It cannot be. And every time that we try to take on that responsibility, we undermine the truth in another and the opportunity for them to come into alignment with their truth, their light, and their way. And that is perhaps another reason why Christ is the most famous figure in terms of being a service, and perhaps even the truth about what success really is. It is to be oneself, to be fully devoted, wholly dedicated to the truth of oneself, to what one knows to be true, to trust in that, and to be utterly detached from any outcome. And that is perhaps when we make the greatest impact.